The Oil and Natural Gas Corporation is India's largest crude oil and natural gas company, which contributes about 71% of India's domestic production of crude. The crude that ONGC discovers and then extracts is supplied to refineries like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, Hindustan Petroleum, and Bangalore refineries. And the last two, that's HPCL and MRPL, are also subsidiaries of ONGC, which in turn produce petroleum products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, and cooking gas, or LPG, which we use in our daily lives. To get a sense of scale, ONGC operates with some 14 seismic crews, manages 262 onshore production installations, 268 offshore installations, including Mumbai High, or what was earlier called Bombay High, 69 drilling rigs, and 54 workover rigs, owns and operates more than 25,000 kilometers of pipeline, including 4,500 kilometers of subsea pipelines. My guest for today is Arun Kumar Singh, the chairman and CEO of ONGC. He's worked for over 37 years in the oil and gas industry, both within India and globally. Just before ONGC, Singh was the chairman and managing director of refining company Bharat Petroleum Corporation, and he holds a degree in mechanical engineering from the National Institute of Technology in Patna. Mr. Singh, thank you so much for speaking with me. So let me go back, or rather, let me start with a statement you made recently. You talked about the challenges and the complexity of discovering oil, drilling for oil, and then obviously bringing it out. And you said it takes 10 years, the whole process. And one of the biggest challenges for a country like India, or for anyone who's trying to, fill the energy gap, is to crunch that time. So tell us about why it takes so long, firstly, and what's going on in the world of oil and gas to reduce that time that we take.
Thank you for asking this question. In fact, this 10 years is contextual in the sense that is, if you are deep water offshore exploration, to commence the exploration and then to bring oil or gas to the surface, that is a 10 years context. For onshore, particularly if you discover something, it could be as low as, from day starting to maximum 3 years. But the global trend now, if you see, most of the oil and gas is being found in last decade or so. The new discoveries are in deep or ultra deep water. Deep water, Guyana, for example. Guyana, Exxon explored for so many years. Now it is almost going to hit 1 million barrel a day production. And why I said this for deep water and ultra deep water, because you start the process by taking a license, then you have to do a seismic, then you have to process it, then interpret it, because it's a very hard, large data. And then choose a location, make a choice about a location to drill and see whether your prognosis is right or wrong. So that drilling itself, planning an ultra deep water vessel, signing a contract, and then drilling and finally discovering oil. So that process itself, whatever you do, it takes around 4 years. Then comes after discovery, you will appraise it, that how much is the oil, whether it's economic, not economic. That also takes away around a year or so. Then you have currently, if you have oil, then you have to source FPSO, you have to do subsea equipments. That project typically, I don't think anybody has done in less than 4 years. And then if you have gas, then you have another challenge of converting into, if you are close to shore, fine. If you are not close, then you have to convert into LNG to ship it. So nowadays, if you see all the last 4 years, the numbers which has come by either from Brazil or Guyana, the big numbers, these are all ultra deep water. In our context also, for our country, we believe now that earlier roughly 3.36 million square kilometers is sedimentary basin in our country. 1.2 was blocked by never explored, which has a potential, because what we call it sedimentary basins. And those blocks government released very recently, and now we expect a lot from there. But most of it, we also believe that it'll be in the deep water, ultra deep waters. So therefore, in that context, I said we need to compress the time of exploring seismic, explore the time of now, for example, we know for sure that we'll keep doing exploration in deep water for next 5 years. Then we should contract a vessel on a national basis, and whoever is exploring there, he can use the same vessel. So then you can save all those times where you can, plus also you can compress the time of data processing and interpretation. Similarly, then development. So this is one side where we said that in our country also, if we believe now that large potential is left in deep or ultra deep water. That was the context in which I said 10 years. Otherwise, if you find onshore, something onshore is a game of tech. Today also, Gujarat, if we keep drilling, we keep discovering, we keep producing. But these quantities are, just goes in making up for the depleted, declining production. So ONGC, you would notice, is almost from the onshore area has been in the same place. We've been producing 6 million ton a year. Oil, we are producing 6 million ton a year for last 10 years. Because what we do is, that even in our parlance, what we call is normal decline of reservoir is a very standard phenomena. So 6 to 7% you lose production every year from the existing reservoir. So you keep discovering new reservoirs, adjacent area or nearby areas, and you keep compensating for it. But exploration, if it's something big, like something big we found Rajasthan onshore, that was decades back. And then after that, something big came in our country is, if I remember correctly, it is Krishna Godavari. Rest are small pools which are just going to make up for the continued production. So it was contextual. I wanted to summarize that it should not be said that 10 years it takes in all circumstances. Like for Middle East, it may be 2 years. So because Middle East is all the reservoirs so far, big ones, are in still onshore. And so therefore, we have to see in that context.
So if you look at your portfolio today, in terms of all the work that's going on, how would you define it? I mean, how much of the work is at what stage of actual oil being extracted?
So right now, our focus is Krishna Godavari. First of all, I must clarify to you that 60 to 70, 60, 65% of ONGC production comes from offshore. Primarily Mumbai offshore, and now, of course, we have added Krishna Godavari. Krishna Godavari, we have opened all the wells. Now, oil wells are moving well. We have to open more wells of gas. That is planned in next, say, 4 or 5 months. And then we ramp up production and all that. So these are the big ones. But ONGC is also produces around 1/3 of its oil in onshore, primarily in Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Northeast, and Tamil Nadu, if you see the broad segregation. So these places we keep doing work. Every year we keep doing work to do some new project and new. But big one, if you say, but contextually, the biggest thing that we are expecting now is our new deal with BP for
Rejuvenation.
Yeah. So this is about increasing the recovery from Western Offshore Mumbai High. Mumbai High is a prima donna asset of ONGC even today. So our recovery so far has been 29, 30% from the whatever initially in place. So now with BP, we are hopeful that the offer itself, it says that we can expect 60% gain from the baseline. So this is something that should hold us in good state for time to come, because it is a big reservoir and big opportunity there in terms of improving our technology process system so that we produce much more than what we have been producing in recent years. So our focus in two sides. One is exploration, keep exploring in deep water and wherever we find oil. And second is to keep improving our existing reservoirs. So these two ONGC, if you ask me, and for this, I just can tell you, we need around 30 to 35,000 crore per year. So we are one of the biggest capital spender also in the country. So, and this, will continue for next 4 or 5 years.
Right. So, if I were to now ask you a more energy security question in the context of our overall, so let's say we import roughly 80% of our crude oil needs,
More 85% plus.
85%. So, 20%, 15% or so is domestically produced. And what you're saying is that at most times, Indian oil companies are fighting to keep the level of production where it was once upon a time.
But we should now be hopeful because big reservoirs have eluded us for quite some time. But one third of the sedimentary basin was not open, so it was kept. It was not open for exploration at all. So now we have lined up. Everybody has lined up its resources to explore well. Like now, right now itself, we are drilling Kaveri Deepwater. We just 3 months back, 6 months back, we finished, drilling it and having a discovery in Mahanadi. So if in this area, we should hope for a big reservoir and if God, but this, you can't change the geology, but you can definitely explore. And if you find a Guyana, then our energy needs are addressed.
So, and Guyana was something that they knew there was going to be, obviously they must have known, which is why Exxon kept
20 years they kept exploring. And many explorers came, left, till somebody came and said, let's try one more. And there they found a reservoir which is so good. Today itself is around 700,000 barrels a day, and hopefully next year they will reach 1 million barrels a day, plus they can produce more.
Right. So, if ONGC as a company has also, invested overseas, and that's one way to make sure that you have fingers in many oil pies, so to speak. Tell us about how the ONGC overall.
So, other than country, what I explained to you, basically addressing our energy needs. ONGC currently is present in 15 countries, around 32 blocks through a ONGC 100% subsidiary called ONGC Videsh Limited. That production today is around 10 to 11 million ton a year. So you can say that it is, 42 million ton we produce within country. So 40 plus 10, you add a 50, 53, 54 million ton. We have our share of production in the global pie, which roughly works out to 1 million barrel a day. But our country is consuming 5 plus. So even if we take OVL quantity, we go maximum up to 20%, roughly 20%. So we need to increase there as well as here. But nothing, works better than finding something in your own country. And now there is another challenge because if you see now exploration, particularly people have, because of this transition and all that, what was being explored in 2013 is not the case today. 2013, world spent roughly 125 billion in exploring. Today it is at 52 billion dollar a year. So exploration basically has moved into the domain of national oil company because it has a different outlook, it has different future. So our primary responsibility is to explore Indian waters and Indian onshore, wherever it is something is left. But foreign, of course, we have producing assets. If some producing asset we get or near producing asset we get, then we'll invest heavily because that will also secure our country's energy need.
So tell me about ONGC itself. So, for example, you're investing in petrochemicals, and there's a lot of new energy initiatives, and I'll come to new energy in a bit. But tell us about how the petrochemical thrust fits with the exploration and production of oil.
So that is a bigger strategic question. If you see, ONGC is owner of HPC2. Okay. So ONGC acquired HPCL. ONGC is OPAL owner, which is also a 2 million ton petrochemical and chemical plant. And ONGC also owns MRPL. So literally, ONGC in the downstream side also is very strong. But ONGC primarily itself focused on E&P with this presence in the downstream, also a strong presence, but through a different commercial structure. Now coming to petchem is our petchem consumption also, India is very low compared to global average. So our petchem story will continue to grow more strongly than energy because primary energy need could be 3 to 4%. growth, but petchem growth will certainly be more than 8% plus. So now there are two things in it, that if transition gets accelerated and you have, after say 10, 20 years, still you are left with your reservoirs. So naturally, oil to chemical is the answer, because country will still continue to do huge petchem. So petchem is basically a two-pronged strategy. One is national need, and second is it also secures you for future. Plus also third, it offers employment. It is downstream side of petchem offers huge employment opportunity in our country. So like our simple Dahej, Opal is only 2 million ton unit, but direct and indirect employment around its periphery in the Dahej itself is around 2 lakh people working for that, because petchem. So petchem is plus gradually
So
everything.
the employment is on because of distribution of products and
No, you make downstream. So you make table, you
plastics.
make glass, you make chair, you make car accessories. So all these will get made from the product that you make in as commodity, say from in your petchem plant. So therefore it is a downstream side. So we have a huge opportunity. China today is today maybe world leader in terms of the capacity to crack and all that. But we hold another opportunity because we have market. And we have market will keep growing at 8-9% for at least next 30-40 years. So therefore, petchem is a larger immediate, medium and long-term need. Long-term need may come out of transition needs. Now, what do you do with oil? So naturally, you convert into petchem. Plus also that ONGC today is, I am chairman of MRPL and OPAL. ONGC already produces 4 million ton of petchem and chemical. That world does Indians in the group company makes, where ONGC is more than 51% owner.
So my question now is, if you were to look at, let's say, the renewables and the sustainability side of it, wherein you're also doing a lot of investment. So what does the arc look like to someone who's trying to understand the company from outside?
So gradually, what is happening globally, if you see, oil and gas companies are trying to become energy company. That happened in Europe in a big way, because if you see, they entered through gas, then they went into power distribution, then power generation. Because one of the things is also true for our country is that our electricity need will be far faster growing than the petroleum need. So if that be the case, and the wherewithal of 2-3 things are a strategic advantage to ONGC in terms of renewable. One is that it has financial muscle to invest. Second is round the clock RTC power can be a combination of gas as well as solar, because other options are working, but it is at much slower pace. And third thing is that country needs more power, and and fourth thing is that ONGC has tremendous project execution capacity. It has been spending 30,000-40,000 crore for donkey years. So unless the organization has that inborn capacity, it couldn't have done it. So therefore, if you see, if leave any and fourth, very few people know that ONGC owns OTPC. That is a power company, ONGC Tripura Power Corporation, where we produce around 800 megawatt of power from our gas and sell it to local northeast and also to Bangladesh. So the capability of ONGC inherently in some pocket of ONGC is existing for power generation, even for transmission. It has a small transmission company which runs power transmission. Of course, that is a JV with Power Grid, which is northeast. So ONGC is present everywhere in energy value chain today. Only the size is different in different buckets. So this capability and that, there is strategic question, of course, that others may differ with this. Earlier, the natural hedging for oil and gas company was to be in all three sectors: E&P, midstream and downstream. And naturally, if upstream doesn't do well, downstream will do well. If downstream doesn't, so it was and that is the reason for all these years, for centuries, only international oil companies survived, because they had full integrated value chain. In part, if you exist, you may not survive for long, because one bad time comes and you are wiped out. So this is something that was E&P, that same thing. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm not saying it is, that everybody should follow this. Same thing will hold true for oil and gas company, that sooner or later they have to get into the other forms of energy. Because otherwise, if you are only in E&P, today oil and gas takes a back seat, then of course you have, maybe having a short shelf life. But that will not happen in India because Indian context में 30, 40 years oil and gas is going to kick. But if you take a long-term view, oil and gas company has to ultimately become energy company. Energy comes from whatever source, even nuclear power, even CBG, even the ethanol, even the oil and gas, even so entire energy basket, whatever primary energy basket today exists in the world, any source, you should be in all the place to survive for centuries. If you want to survive for a few decades, then it's fine, you remain segregated.
And how does the, let's say, management time get divided between searching for new sources of energy or exploring new options like the ones you said? You talked about coal-based methane, for example, and there are many others as well, versus, let's say, the traditional.
So my personal time, I've taken account 92% in last 2 years has gone to conventional E&P. Because OVL is run independently by MD OVL. So there is a separate board. Only I sit in chairman of board meeting, non-executive chairman. I'm non-executive chairman of MRPL. I'm non-executive chairman of OPAL. So these don't take much of my time. And fortunately, management is very competent in all the subsidiary. So they run on their own. But overall, say overarching situation that I'm aware of. But my personal time goes in still E&P, and in that particularly, at least 40% of the time goes to, if something we can do great in exploration, and also in enhancing production from our existing fields. Like a lot of time has gone into, stitching this tie-ups and all that. And it is win-win, with win-win conditionality from both sides. So time-wise, we are fair, but one of the things that we still continue to focus on E&P. Renewable also doesn't take much of my time because we have created a company called ONGC Green Limited. It is run by that management. And only they come to ONGC for money because ONGC has the resources. So that role I perform in the board meeting, nothing more than this.
So let me come to that, since you mentioned British BP and the partnership with them. So what is it that companies like BP bring in these contexts of, let's say, reviving or rejuvenating existing oil wells, which India could then pick up and so on? Or, I mean, this is a slightly broader question as well. I mean, what's the kind of technology competence that lies across the world, which maybe we should be aspiring for?
In some areas of E&P, majority of the area of E&P, we are at par with any international oil company. If you come to exploration, deepwater drilling, all that we are, we can say that ONGC in 60, 70 years is as strong as, say, any IOC. There are 2-3 areas where we are, where they have more experience than us. Because simple reason that they are more exposed to all the more experience with the company because they are bigger. One of the such area is the IOR, what we call enhanced oil recovery and all that. That there, these oil majors are, I would say that they know something that we are yet to learn. Or yet to learn to the extent that they are. We also know 60-70% things we have been doing, like onshore, if you say Gujarat, ONGC is best in doing enhancing recovery from, the fields of onshore. But when it comes to carbonates, particularly, I don't know, I'm getting too technical, but their recovery of total initially oil in places in some fields is 50%. Our recovery is 29-30%. It is not that oil is not there. It is there. 70% we are leaving underground. It is world over, it depends on how much you are able to recover and bring to the surface. And in that area, we found that we need some help. And we needed help from only those guys who are really big and who are really knows this. So we floated a process, we ran a process, and through which we selected this BP. So we expect that at least in our western offshore reservoirs, how to, pressurize the reservoir, which part of the reservoir we should pressurize, how to, how to basically maximize our recovery from underground. That issue, we wanted some help, and therefore we have done this tie-up.
So, countries like the US, for example, who are heavily into fracking and have found that as a way to actually tip the whole their balance in terms of they're from being an oil importer to an oil exporter now. India also imports from the US. So, what's on the horizon in terms of new technologies or new
So
inputs?
shale is a very recent phenomena in the world. Shale is nothing but eating in kitchen itself instead of kitchen in living dining table. So wherever oil is getting formed or it is not moving, you reach there and you extract. So basically, this is, as you were rightly said, that US mastered that. But fortunately, their geology and their structure of Earth is such that it enables a very easy technology. Found a way to figure out how to do that. We have done 4-5 areas in this shale, but we are not as strong on shale in terms of gift of nature to us so far. If we discover something different, then it is, yeah. So that side is one part of the technology. But that technology, shale technology, so far we have not needed for simple reason that we have not found the shale which is as good as US, or say for that matter even some Latin American countries. But what in the conventional oil and gas space, in one or two areas we needed help. Particularly for ONGC, it became very relevant because of the fact that our largest reservoir is still Mumbai High, and we have not produced more than 28-29% there. So there is opportunity to go up to 50% very comfortably because there are many reservoirs in the world where recovery is gone, crossing now 50-51.
As in of equal vintage or older?
It is vintage, equal vintage, same vintage. And because the learning curve, they are ahead of us because we earn at least the enhanced recovery, how to recover more. So there is no harm in knowing from someone who knows, and maybe who knows, after some time we will know better than anybody else.
But I think the point that you made, maybe which people don't fully appreciate, is that it's only governments which can invest at this scale and with this consistency in oil exploration. Or is it that only for some countries?
It is. Today, if you see, only integrated companies are able to have this kind of muscle for long. Fortunately, for ONGC, this kind of money generating from ONGC is not a problem because you have your oil production today, gas production, then your investment. So you can continue these investment, and also we have committed to invest at least 10,000 crore plus per year in our exploration. So that we will continue to do. So this is one aspect. That one more area which is very relevant for country to know is that there are many small pools which have been discovered by private sector as well as public sector. Now there is a need to do joint development to bring scale and also the cost down. That path we are now starting because particularly 2-3 geography of the country, particularly deep water, private companies have also discovered, we have also discovered. So that part, now we are starting our journey on that. We have started communication, how to do it, joint development, so that there is a economy for doing both of us, because both of us independently possibly can't do. So if you join together, then many infrastructure gets commonly shared and your cost of production comes down.
So I asked you about technology, but that was more to do with drilling technology and exploration technology. Other technology when people talk about is really in the startup ecosystem and smaller, younger companies. So what are the integration opportunities that you're seeing?
ONGC has pure 8 institutes of ONGC and they do R&D. Okay. Of course, applied R&D is not a pure science, but application of science, we have 8 institutes, starts in 4 are in Dehradun, remaining 4 are outside. And these are internal technology improvement institutes, which of course today in drilling we should be very proud of, our drillers' capacity and all that, because there is an institute which keeps feeding them regularly what to do, what not to do. But coming back, this is the ENP old world thing. Second, on technology side, we have internally devoted a large resource to AI and this and now we drilled a well recently purely based on AI outcome that to locate a well, and we found 98% accuracy of prediction. So that is something that we should be very proud of. That AI, our investment in AI is going to pay big in terms of efficiency in next 3-4 years, at least in oil exploration and development, because the accuracy of our prediction, because we follow a path that it will find so much there. But if you are drilled in a wrong place by even say 5 kilometers away, then you don't get. So, but this case particularly has given us lots of confidence that possibly we can use AI more extensively in locating a well, particularly in producing fields, where when we locate a well.
And this AI came from like the startup?
In-house.
Oh, this was in-house. Okay.
In-house plus, of course, help from one big technology company, because they also helped us. But you can say a mixed effort of both. But it looks like that accuracy and efficiency in oil and gas sector is going to improve immensely through AI, because we are underestimating its potential, because one well has shown as 98% accurate. So it means there is something that we can do more on this side. And therefore, we are accelerating the pace. In fact, now we have given in DOT, that is, we call it digital organizational transformation. In that project, we call it DOT. We have given 70 IT resources, best our internal people there, and 30 for AI. So 100 bright people are working 24 hours around the clock. Maybe you can say that throughout the year on only improving AI and digital penetration in ONGC. Because this is the area which will give us good efficiency. That I'm 100% sure that it will pay for itself after 3-4 years in a big way.
And
Startup, your last question, startup.
so, and let me sort of flip that question a little bit as well. So, if you wanted to say why is it interesting to work for ONGC today, and I think you already, in a way, when you think of ONGC traditionally, you're thinking of more outdoor oil and gas, offshore, maybe even onshore. Whereas the moment you say AI, obviously you are attracting a different kind of people. So, but let me ask you that question, which is that how would you, or what would you say to attract someone to the company today, particularly in these areas that you would want them to?
So when we say those who, there are 3-4 types of talent which joins ONGC. First is, of course, you said those who are daredevil, those who want to do chopper rides every day, so those variety. Plus you have challenging offshore production, of course. So this is one variety. There also we need good talent to run the show on day-to-day basis, particularly with good understanding of working equipments and processes. Second is the design side, that how we should design our facilities. There also, I think ONGC has one of the best institutes. And therefore, those who are interested in designing an R&D, and I told you about R&D institutes, 8 number. So those who are with that bent of mind, for them also ONGC is a space. Now, third space is now pure so-called digital technology space. Very few people know that ONGC's internal cost on digital and all that is 1,000 crore plus per year. So it runs literally a huge digital project inside. Say it is running today in hundreds. So those who want to have new world, for that also ONGC is right place. Fourth, those who are a longer life in any company, ONGC is best place, because it is in the newest spectrum as well as in oldest spectrum. So you have longevity of one organization which is assured in long run, is because of what I explained to you previously, is that you can work anywhere. And fifth, we transfer people across. It is not that if you are good in one place, and we found that you can do here also. Now, so new world, old world, both coexisting together for the betterment of society and country and for individual. So this is nothing you can say. If somebody wants like army like life, Western offshore is army life. Every day you fly in a chopper. Every morning sortie you do from one platform to another, second platform to third platform, in a dangri, in an orange suit. So like army type of life is ONGC is offering. If somebody wants to have a pure digital life, that also ONGC is far well equipped. We have 1/4 building we have dedicated for that. And so it is all kinds of people can join ONGC. That is my offering. It is not one type.
Mr. Singh, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.